Sí, bueno, es un
Well,
honor estar.
thank you. It's an honor to be here representing the Electricity Institute, and we will present a brief summary of electric system. I was going to share my presentation. Basically, as we mentioned, um, basically in Costa Rica, most of the generation is from renewable sources. Give me a second.
Creo que si lo hago así, podemos ver. Me indican, por favor, si hay algún problema. Si no, bueno.
Could you tell me if there's a problem?
Looks fine, thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, perfecto. Voy a presentar
I'll present the matrix, the electrical matrix of our country and the future plans that we have. Basically, the Costa Rican Institute of Electricity is a government institution founded in 1949 with activities in electrical industry, telecommunications, and digital services. From the beginning, from the foundation, we established as priority the source of energy, sources of available energy sources in the country, prioritizing hydroelectrical energy, as we can see in this quote of the first article of the act of creation of ICE, where we had to create energy sources in the country, basically hydraulic energy. From the creation of our institution, the ICE, we proceeded to electrifying the country, as we see in this chart. In the decade of the 70s, less than half the country had access to electricity. Today, more than 99.8% of the population has access to electricity. Therefore, the task of electrifying the country can be said that it's finalized. And here I'll show you slides where we explain the process of planning of the electric system, that explains why is it that we have almost 100% renewable matrix. Basically, the process begins through the inventory of electricity sources in our country, and we show the charts of the hydrological sources that we have monitored. We have the basins in the country. We have a map of the geothermal resource in Costa Rica, and we have identified the areas of best conditions for the production of eolic energy and solar energy. That by being a tropical country, we have very good conditions. Then we have a model, a series of software that we can make the planning in 20 years using is DDP. It's a software developed in Brazil for electric systems based mainly on hydroelectrical energy backed up with geothermal energy. That it's basically the model, the main model that we built in Costa Rica, which was complemented recently in past years with new energy sources. With this, we can do planning that ensures attention of demand and reducing at the maximum the usage of fossil fuels for electricity. So the scheme of the market in the country, that is basically not a market, not an open market. There's partial participation from the private initiatives for electric generation. It's developed through a plan of expansion of generation where we establish what are the plants, the generation plants that will be incorporated into the electric system in 20 years to ensure the attention of the demand in the country. This is finally consolidated in this matrix of capacity of electric generation that, as you can see, is mainly formed by renewable energy. Our main installed capacity is from hydroelectric energy. We have 2,400 megawatts installed in the country, which is complemented with geothermal energy and eolic energy mainly, a little biomass and solar energy in takeoff that we haven't developed it in big scale in the country, but it's working in projects such as the ones that we're working right now, the Juanilama project, and we have a capacity of backup that works mainly from bunker that we call it in Costa Rica, that works as backup for the years when there's drought. But the idea is to use it as little as possible. So we've acquired generational plants of technology generation, that the plants are relatively cheap. The fuel is expensive, but the idea is to use only in cases of emergency. So what we see next is the matrix of electric generation, not the installed capacity, but the energy that we produced in 2020 with our electric system. As you can see, more than 70% of the electricity was produced with hydroelectrical energy, 14% was produced with geothermal energy, the rest with eolic energy, and the final contribution of biomass, solar energy, and we finally used very little generation from fossil fuels. There we see that our electrical system is practically decarbonized. Here we show a monthly chart of how generation behaves in our country, how it behaved in last year in 2020. As you can see, the geothermal energy, it's energy that doesn't depend on the conditions of the climate. So mostly it is based on the matrix of generation. The eolic energy, which is what continues here, that depends on the season. The most contribution is in the first years of the year, January, February, March, and this energy that also has a condition of seasonality. When there's more rain in the country, it's in May and until December. And as you can see, mostly we didn't use fossil fuels. We only had a contribution. There's always a little need to turn on the machines, but mostly they don't generate anything. In April, in our dry season is when these plants must come to back up the electric system. Indeed, this next chart shows that we've accrued 6 years with more than 98% of electrical production of the country from renewable sources. Therefore, we could say that Costa Rica already fulfilled the goal of decarbonizing its electric system, having pending the decarbonization of the rest of the economy. But this is something important facing the mechanism, the joint financial mechanism from Japan, because it means that where more opportunity of development is in projects, is in other fields of the economy, not necessarily in electric generation, but in the use of this electricity that we have to decarbonize our consumption of fossil fuels. Here there's a chart of the curve, the daily curve of generation of demand, of electric demand. As we can see, late at night, we have low demand. And here we can see the yellow chart with geothermal energy, always constantly based on the system, and the yellow frame, which is the contribution of eolic energy. And here the chart that we see is past Monday, past week. This time of the year, the eolic energy in the country is very constant. So we have high production of eolic energy. And what comes next is all the frames in blue have the different hydroelectric plants or rural plants, and the black frame is an important contribution for our electric system, which is the exchange of electricity that we have with Central America in the interconnection line. And well, thinking about new services, considering that Costa Rica, the growth of electric demand is relatively low. It's gone down since 2008, knowing that we have practically decarbonized our electric system. In ICE, we've established the task of contributing to decarbonization of the rest of the economy of the country. In fact, here we show the decarbonization project, where we assign the specific tasks to the Costa Rican Institute of Electricity, mainly electromobility. In this picture, we can see something where two buses that were donated by the government of Germany, and they entered operation 2 weeks ago. And well, you can see to the left our executive president. This is the opening act of the operation of these buses. This is a pilot project to collect information in the performance of this technology in our cities, where we have very different conditions in other places of the world. Because electric buses don't have the same performance in places with a lot of climbs. So the development of electromobility has moved forward in this. This was a brief summary of our electric system that, as you can see, is highly decarbonized. And this marks also, we don't say conditions, that the country has to make use and focus on the possible projects that are developed with the JCM, specifically in decarbonization projects of other segments of the economy. Thank you very much.